If you want to understand money and build real wealth, this is for you. Let's get into it. Imagine this. What if there was a way to take a small amount of money, something most people consider insignificant, and turn it into hundreds of thousands or even millions over time without working extra hours, without a second job, and without relying on luck? It sounds unrealistic. It sounds like something that doesn't exist, but it does, and it's called compound interest. Most people hear about this concept and ignore it. They think it's boring, slow, and not worth their attention, and that is exactly why most people never become financially independent, because what feels slow at the beginning becomes incredibly powerful later. This is not theory, this is math, and if you understand it, you immediately have an advantage over most people. Compound interest means you earn returns not only on your original investment, but also on everything that investment generates over time. In other words, your money starts creating new money, and that new money starts creating even more money, and this process repeats again and again. At the beginning, the growth is almost invisible. It is so slow that it feels pointless. If you invest $100, you might end the first year with 107, after 2 years maybe 114. Nothing impressive. And that is exactly the moment where most people quit because they believe it is not working, but they are missing the most important part. Compound interest does not reward the beginning, it rewards duration. This is why it is often compared to a snowball. Imagine a small snowball at the top of a hill. At first it is tiny and easy to ignore. You could destroy it with one step, but if you let it roll, it starts collecting snow. It becomes bigger, heavier, and faster, and eventually it becomes something you cannot stop. That is exactly how money behaves when compounding takes over. The problem is that most people never reach that stage because they give up too early. We live in a world where people expect fast results, fast money, fast success, and when they do not see immediate progress, they assume something is wrong. But compound interest requires patience, discipline, and time, and that is precisely why it works so well, because most people do not have those qualities. If two people invest the same amount of money but one starts 10 years earlier, the difference in results can be massive, not because they invested more, but because they had more time. Time is the most important variable in this entire equation, not income, not starting capital, time. The earlier you start, the greater your advantage, and the longer you stay consistent, the more powerful the result becomes. Most people are used to linear growth. You work more and you earn more, but compound interest is exponential. At the beginning, it barely moves and it looks like nothing is happening. Then suddenly the curve starts rising faster and faster. That is the moment when your money begins to work harder than you do. And unfortunately, that is the point most people never reach because they quit too early. Starting late is one of the biggest mistakes you can make because you lose your most valuable asset, time. If you start in your 20s, you have a huge advantage. If you start in your 30s, you can still build something meaningful. But if you wait until your 40s, you are making it much harder for yourself. Compound interest works best when you give it time and consistency. You do not need a large amount of money to begin. You can start small, but you need to stay consistent every single month without interruption because every pause slows down the process and every contribution accelerates it. Most people wait for the perfect moment, the perfect salary, or the perfect opportunity, but that moment does not exist. The best time to start was years ago, and the second best time is today. Waiting costs you, starting benefits you. The biggest obstacle is not mathematics, but behavior. People quit because they do not see results fast enough. They become frustrated and stop. But the early phase is where the foundation is built. Just like planting a tree where nothing is visible at first, but the roots are growing underground. If you stop too early, you will never see the growth. Investing works the same way. If you stay consistent long enough, the results eventually become undeniable. Now let's look at a practical example. Imagine you invest $300 every month with an average return of 8% per year. After 10 years, you will have around $55,000. After 20 years, around $175,000. And after 30 years, over $450,000. But here is the key insight. If you continue for 40 years, you are approaching or exceeding $1 million. And the difference between 30 and 40 years is not small, it is massive. Because most of the growth happens at the end, that is exponential growth in action. This is why small increases in your monthly investment can have a huge impact over time. Going from $300 to $500 per month does not just add $200, it can add hundreds of thousands in the long run because every extra dollar compounds. Consistency is more important than intensity. Someone who invests $100 every month for 30 years will often outperform someone who invests larger amounts inconsistently because discipline beats occasional effort. Many people fear investing because they think it is risky, but not investing can be even riskier because inflation slowly reduces the value of your money. If your money is not growing, it is losing purchasing power. Compound interest does not just grow your wealth, it protects it. The strategy itself is simple. Choose an amount you can invest regularly, automate the process so you remove emotions, focus on long-term growth instead of short-term fluctuations, stay patient and ignore noise. You do not need complexity, you need consistency. At the beginning, this will not feel exciting. There are no quick wins, no dramatic changes. But over time, the difference becomes life-changing. One person builds wealth while another stays stuck, and the gap between them grows wider every year. The choice is simple but difficult to execute. Spend everything now or invest for the future, short-term pleasure versus long-term freedom. You do not need to be perfect, you do not need to know everything, you just need to start and keep going. Because the biggest enemy of this process is not the market, it is your own behavior, your impatience, and your desire for quick results. If you can control that, you win. If you take one lesson from this, it should be this: time is more powerful than money. Start as early as possible, stay consistent, and do not stop because every day you wait, your snowball sits at the top of the hill, and every day you invest, it starts rolling. If you want more content like this, subscribe now. See you in the next video.